deciding which video game you're gonna play. You fight with your family over which is better, Marvel or DC. The geek of all of your friends, cause you know what Batman beats Superman. This is the right place to be, so turn up the volume cause you're an altered geek. Altered geek. Get altered. Geeky. Altered geek. From Star Wars to Star Trek, comics to tech. Altered geek. Get altered. Geeky. Altered geek. Pull up a chair cause you're an altered geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and this episode is brought to you by Gamefly.com. Sign up today for a premium free 30-day trial with the one game out at a time by going to GameflyOffer.com/AlteredGeek. As I stated, I am your host, Steve Megatron, and what's new in this episode? Well, we had no other episodes going on this week, but I think that people will enjoy what we've got coming next week. And just to tease some of those, we have an episode on movie and the franchise industry and how it's affected toys, specifically to a Bloomberg article where there's like this toy fatigue. So Altered Toys will be out next week, as well as another episode that we have coming called Altered Service, which will have to do with good and bad customer service experiences, where we got a little off topic, and it went a little longer than our normal 20-minute there. We had a nice 45-minute episode going, but that'll be out the week after next, and then we should have some other kind of fun 20-minute episodes going next week or the week after. So I'm going to cut back. Instead of doing a Thursday episode, I'm going to still do the Tuesday episode for right now, just to so that we have a backlog, and it just kind of makes it nicer. That and I feel like I'm using up that backlog because we recorded 2 episodes instead of 3, and I don't want to blitz through them and whatnot. So anyways, that's kind of the plan. So a lot's gone on in this last week. Some of you may have seen my social media tweets about my health. I had kind of some issues with stomach problems and digestion and food. So I did this 5-day fast, and I only made it 3.5 days in, but I think that it did my body good because when I got off of that fast and I had no food in my system, my first couple days back to eating food was a little rough, and then after that, I was pretty much good to go. I mean, my body kind of reset. I feel better. I don't have any issues. I don't have any brain fog. I have more energy. There's some days this week I have not felt like recording at all. For a variety of reasons. Some of them are Star Trek Online is having its 8-year anniversary, and so in doing so, they're giving away every day something for free. And they've been giving something every day. Like they gave, what was it? They gave Fleet Marks one day. They gave 5 Phoenix boxes another day. They gave 10,000 refined dilithium another day, which I promptly turned into Zen, which is money, credits for purchase of other things in the game. And then they had, they've unlocked a bunch of missions where you can get these previously unreleased items in the game that, well, previously unreleased as in it's not been available for a few years, like the Davidian scepter, and you have the like a chrono flux type device, and these items are not normally available. And then they're also going to be giving items away until next Wednesday, I believe, for their 8th year anniversary. And then they're going to start from January 23rd to February 22nd, another event. I mean, we've just been blitzing through events since Christmas, but it's basically, you know, you get a bunch of games, Omega Particle stabilization game, Party Patrol, new emotes, and then there's more like festivities and games and stuff that they're going to be doing on Space Dock. So I mean, it's been really fun to play the game, and plus they're gearing up for another episode release with the game, and basically there's a new featured episode which is going to have for the Klingons it's General Martok, for the Federation it's LaForge. Basically they're having to take the Zinkethi threat more aggressively. The episode's called Scylla and Charybdis. So yeah, they're gonna be releasing that for limited time for players level 10 and up, and then it'll just be in the normal progression of the story. But I'm really loving the TNG edition in here, and they're gonna have some nice DS9 and Gamma Quadrant stuff later in the year. So I've been having a lot of fun with Star Trek Online. That being said, Birdman Dodd might be making an appearance again soon on the podcast, and we were talking about it. Like his health's getting better. He's possibly going to be available soon, and I'm going to take him up on it if he's available. And so that's been something that's been kind of working in the background. And he kind of turned me on to this thing of sfi.org, which is the Starfleet International. And previously, I never thought about it. Like, it just really wasn't something on my radar. I think I thought it cost a bunch of money to join, and in all reality, it's $5. So I joined it January 15th. It's $5, not a big deal. And they have a ton of stuff to do once they activate you. There's Starfleet Academy. There's like classes you can take, and it's kind of set up like your general college course scenario. And there's got to be like 1,000 classes in here. So they have things that are Star Trek related. They have things that are pop culture. They have some things that are actual learning devices. And when you complete them, because everybody's kind of, it's all freelance stuff. There's no pay involved. You get these PDFs of certificates of completion. And in those several, I think 2 days that I've had access to the academy, I've done 11 classes and passed them all. And I have another 5 or 6 that I still have yet to take that I've already registered for. I've had up to 20 of them registered at a time. So it's kind of crazy, but you can move up in your individual fleets and the local region chapters and whatnot. So it's kind of interesting. I'm still traversing it, learning it. Now because I've joined this journey and I'm in Starfleet, I've been taking parallel universes, mirror universe, alternate timelines, time travel. Things on Kirk, the Enterprise A, the Q Continuum, a variety of other subjects related to that, plus the officer classes. So it's been a lot of fun to sit there and kind of traverse this in the past few days. But something that it's turned me on to is I'm really wanting to get a Star Trek uniform now. I had one years ago from the 2009 Star Trek movie, and I got it for free as an advertisement from, I want to say Big Bad Toy Store or something like that. It was somewhere like that, and I unfortunately ordered a size too big because I underestimated the sizing, and the thing flooded on me. It was horrible. Didn't even fit right. And it was the Kirk uniform. I'm always going to go captain if I have the option, or admiral or something. So anyways, I kind of posed this question, and I'd be curious to know what everybody else thinks on this, because I'm kind of struggling with it. I don't have a lot of money, and I really want to get a Star Trek uniform. I have the comm badge. I have the Voyager late DS9 and TNG movie comm badge. So I'm set there. I don't have the pips, but I've got a way that I can make them without having to buy them. There's those little gold spinning clasps that you use when you normally put a bunch of paper together, kind of thing. They have those, and they look like the little buttons that go for the rank on the collar. And I was like, I don't have to spend $15. I have these. All I have to do is replace the little thing in there and put a needle on it. Like it just take me a little bit of work. It's not something I'm afraid of. So, or I just puncture a little slit in it, and then I stick it in there, and it clasps on the back and stays. So I'm gonna do that when I get a uniform, and I have the belt buckle piece. I have that coming. I got it on eBay for like $2, free shipping from China. So that's spectacular. So now I'm in the decision mode of trying to figure out what uniform I want, and like I said, I don't have all that much cash, and this is something that I'm sure wouldn't go over well if it with my wife, if she knew I was getting it, because it's just another thing for me to have. I go through these spur of the moment things where I really want something, and then I don't necessarily need it, but I want it, and then I realize afterward I blew a bunch of money. So in essence, what I'm planning on doing is I have a lot more action figures and comics and toys. I'm going to sell them all off so I can buy the Starfleet uniform, because one, they sit in a tote. They don't ever get pulled out. Since we redid my office, it was kind of mutually accepted that my stuff was not coming back out for visual display because my kids were coveting what I had. I had OCD about it being touched. So it's all the way around better if I just get rid of it. So anyways, I want to get the Starfleet uniforms, and I'm torn between several different styles, and this is what I mean. There's the TNG film one, which, don't get me wrong, I love that. They used it in DS9. They used it, I love that uniform. They have the Voyager uniform. I'm not really sold on that one. I don't like the TNG as much. The TOS, I've had one. I've had the original one when I was a kid. I had the Kirk one then. So I really don't care if I get that either. Plus, I could make that here at home for free, basically. Like, it would cost me like $10, $15 to make, just because of what materials go into it. And I kind of know what I would have to do. So that's not even that big of an issue either. So I'm wanting either the TNG one, the original series Wrath of Khan film one, which is ultimately my favorite one. There's the Star Trek Online Sierra one. However, I would want it modified from the current color palette that I found available. And I don't know if that's possible. There's the Star Trek Online Odyssey uniform, which surprisingly, the only one that's available for sale is the science one. I have no idea why there's no tactical and there's no engineering colored Odyssey uniform, because I love the Odyssey uniform in the game. However, again, I would have to modify the entire thing. Then there's the Star Trek Online Odyssey dress uniform, which, if you color it right, will look just like the Wrath of Khan. However, instead of the wristband on one sleeve, it's on two on the Odyssey, and then the black that goes up for the edging for where it latches on the side I can have it gold, and then the shoulder strap can be a different color and it's thinner, and then there's the collar, which is instead of the kind of ribbed turtleneck that the Wrath of Khan one has, this one's attached to the shoulder pieces and it's a different color with a stripe underneath it of whatever class it is. And so I also did another one in game where it's like the motion picture style color palette with red in the top part for the Odyssey. So like I'm kind of torn, because like I could get the Wrath of Khan one and I could make the modifications to make it the Odyssey dress uniform, which I ultimately like the most because it's kind of a best of both worlds. You mix the Odyssey and the Wrath of Khan, and I could use my current comm badge with it. And so there's the option of that. There's the option of getting the Odyssey of the the science in just replacing the undershirt and the piece on the collar with the correct color. However, the shoulders are not the same color as what I'd want. I'd have to modify all that. And then like I said, the Sierra, again, it's a color modification issue. So I'm still trying to decide what I want to do as far as that. The other option I was kind of entertaining was, and I'm one of those people that I like to do something once and then I never do it again. So like I did a custom action figure years ago of Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. And it was perfect. Great. I did it. One time. That's it. I didn't do it again. So this would be another one of those events where if I made it, I would do it once, and then I would never do it again. I do not know how to sew. So that is the other issue. I would probably use some kind of a magnetic thing or a Velcro to stick the things together if I figured out how to do it. And I'm sure I could stitch enough to make it look like it fits properly. So the other option is I could buy a jacket that fits the color and fits the aesthetic I'm going for. So it could either fit it would more than likely be the Sierra or the Odyssey uniform that I could use this jacket for. So that would be that instance. And then I have to figure out what to do about the shoulders once I got it. And so I think that the Sierra would be the easiest to do because it's just pieces of fabric kind of splintered on it, whereas I would have to make the entire shoulder and the collar piece for the jacket for the Odyssey one. So I'm kind of torn on that. So if you guys know anything that's like good for doing this kind of stuff, just let me know because I'm totally in the dark. So I posed that question, like I said, on my social media, and people assumed I was talking about the game, and I was actually talking about the costume. So that kind of frees that up now. So anyways, I think I'm going to cut back in a minute and come back with some cool CES gadgets that I saw. So we'll be back after this. And we're back. So to start off, I kind of want to talk about Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. I know this has nothing to do with CES, but around the same time, Microsoft reveals that their Fall Creators Update was the fastest to reach 100 million devices. To which I say, because you forced it, Microsoft. So they announced that version 1709, the Fall Creators Update, was the fastest Windows 10 release to reach 100 million devices, all while achieving higher customer satisfaction ratings compared to prior updates. It says, that they don't know how many of the 600 million users are running the latest version, but yeah. So they're saying that because Windows 10 is a service and built differently than its predecessors, it can be regularly updated with not just fixes but new features. So Microsoft revealed the 4 major releases: the November update, the anniversary update, the Creators Update, and the Fall Creators Update. I have not updated probably since the November update of the previous year. I didn't want any of the other updates. I found them to be irrelevant. I didn't want any of the features. I didn't want to have to reset my settings. I didn't like them controlling Windows Update, which was my primary problem. So they said that it's now fully compatible for all devices running Windows 10 worldwide. And they started rolling it out October 17th, and it says it took 3 months for the team to be confident it was ready for everyone to download and install. And it says the process took so long because the full availability is the final phase of our rollout. It says when a new feature is released, we begin targeting a select set of devices that we have, And then they said that we monitor feedback for issues around application and device compatibility, make adjustments along the way if necessary, active listening for and responding to issues as they emerge helps them confidently expand the release. If they actually listen to it, one of the main pet peeves is people don't want to have Windows Update controlling when it does it, why it does it. And then they've also phased out old graphics drivers. So if you have an old video card and you used to get, really high-end graphics, you may no longer get that because they replaced it, because it's a legacy device, with a Microsoft legacy graphics driver. And then they reduce your resolution, so basically forcing you to get a new system. So I don't know how I feel about it, but I don't like Microsoft controlling my computer. And that was kind of funny that Mike Booth Ninja brought it up, that they kind of forced, put this Force-ware on everyone, and then said, "Oh, look, we've done this incredible feat. It's we've hit all these devices," and it's like, well, no crap, you forced it on everyone, so they really didn't have a choice, did they? So I don't know. So anyways, I'm gonna go to CES because that's a much lighter and much more interesting topic. There's this new thing with HD now. As far as TVs, they're working on 8K TVs with 7680 by 430 pixels, and it's basically 16 times as many pixels as the old 1080p HD TVs, which is just sick. I honestly don't see the need for it, but I mean, if you're one of those people that likes to try and see all the magical shininess of technology, I mean, great. So they also have this had pin art, like where you used to stick your hand in stuff and it would do the shape of it. Well, they have one that's like a Bluetooth speaker that's like a waveform equalizer that follows the music beats, which is kind of cool. There's like a bunch of new phones. Like Sony's got this new kind of rectangular looking device with multiple cameras. Google, Vuzix Blade is basically like a Google Glass, like AR type thing. And they've even got these new DoubleA batteries that sucks power right out of the air. And I've never seen anything this exciting because it's wireless charging technology. So it delivers power to the gadgets the same way the internet is delivered by Wi-Fi, which I think is just insane. Like, I honestly really love that idea because I hate plugging things in. I feel like I'm sitting here, there's cords everywhere. There's something that always has to be plugged in, and I think that's great. I think that would make it so that you'd essentially have the battery that never needs to be replaced. So the Coda Forever battery, it looks like a standard battery. It says Coda powered. It's wireless. It says that it's going to do the kind of induction type thing, but it's also going to have the output of a traditional AA battery, same form factor, so you can basically swap it out easily. And yeah, so you'd essentially never have to change your TV remotes or anything else for that matter. So I think that's really cool. I mean, you get the special transmitter that sends out the energy, but I mean, I wonder kind of what it does to the person in the vicinity, just because it's sending power. But at the same time, I still think it's cool that we have the ability to have wireless electricity. And then they have this new cellular connected smart credit card, which shows you, like, it's got a chip in it, it's got a toggle thing, it's got a wireless thing on it, but it tells you how much money is on your card. Like, there's a special GSM chip inside an e-ink display, and it's the same size as a regular credit card, but it's a it allows you to use it for pretty much anything. But it tells you how much is on the card, which I absolutely love that it does that. And it puts all your card information on the thing, and there's buttons where you can toggle. So like if it was like a birthday thing, it'll say like happy birthday, blah blah blah, and then you can tag it again, and it'll say credit card number and the expiration and the CVV number and the logo of the company, and it's basically an instant program, which I think is kind of cool in today's age. Like I would rather have that than have it all on my phone, if that makes any sense. But I would also love the ability to be able to tell how much is on my card. So, and then they've got like these new Duracell like monstrosities that are the like backup battery, and it looks like a generator on top of a table, and it shows like how much the battery life is in it. And there's 4 plugs, and you can tag it, and there's USB. So essentially, it has 660 WH of power. It'll keep basic appliances and home running in event of a power outage. But yeah, it's supposed to be pretty heavy and pretty slick, and you can hook it up to your house, so that's another plus. There's the ability in the back of it. So then Casio has a printer that can turn paper into faux leather, wood, and alligator skin, which I think is actually quite interesting if you're somebody that, for instance, makes costumes or makes a variety of things with just wants to be able to print something. Like it just looks interesting because it does like an embossing and stitching that's like faked with like some moff-rail technology, basically using 3D textures to your printouts. To simulate the effect, and it just looks crazy. I couldn't believe it just looking at it, but it's pretty convincing how well it looks. But yeah, it's $50,000 for that printer, so I doubt that's going to hit retail anytime soon. So some of the stuff that's been at CES this year, like Panasonic had like an electronic car, which looked pretty friggin' futuristic and insane. It almost looks like some kind of a smart car you'd see in a movie. And then they've got the fastest storage drive to ever go in a laptop, which is the Optane memory from Intel, which I know Intel's been in the media for some other issues to do with security, but this is supposed to be like a new SSD type device, and they're not very big size-wise, but they're supposed to be much faster, which honestly, just having an SSD drive and going with current technology, I think that it's kind of, I mean, it's supposed to be kind of a memory thing too, but I think that if you just got an SSD drive, you'd be fine. So then they have Bluetooth filters too that were kind of released that tell you how filthy your air is. You connect it to an app in your phone, and it's by Filtrete, and it'll tell you how dirty your filter is and tell you if you need to replace it. But their smart air filters are going to sell between $22 and $30. So honestly, like, it's not that big of a deal. I that's not something I absolutely need. I think it's cool, but it's not something I absolutely need. So I honestly won't be worrying about that all that much because I spend $10 and get a 3-pack and they work great. So I don't know. What were some things of CES that stood out to you guys? I mean, they have like these new like glasses-free Ultra 3D TVs with adjustable depth now that were there. They have a 65-inch OLED TV that can be rolled up and hidden away like in a compartment. It folds like right into a table mount. It's insane the stuff they're coming up with now. I can't even fathom how all this stuff is being designed the way it's designed. But I think that it's very very innovative. So, anyways, I'm gonna take a quick break. Go on to maybe some stuff to do with superheroes and some anime that I've come across, and we'll be back after this. And we're back. So I kind of wanted to touch on this because I'm a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z, although I haven't caught up with Super lately, and that's more so because I'm waiting for dubs and waiting for the ability to find it somewhere where I can watch it. But the funny thing is it's actually ending, and I didn't know that it was ending. It says that its main story arc was created by Akira Toriyama, and the Dragon Ball Super's animation was criticized for being low quality, but the show found its footing and introduced new hair colors, and old memes unleashing, powerful storylines, and it's gotten better with its animation quality as it's gone along, but to begin with, it was crap. So they're replacing Super on TV in Japan with Gigi no Kitaro, whatever that is. And the people that play like Goku and Piccolo in Japan are going to be moving over to that show. So I find it interesting the show's going to go away, and there's no plans to resurrect it at this point. So I'm a little sad, but I haven't kept up with it. So it's not that big of a difference for me. So yeah, I need to get around one of these days with Birdman once he's back on his feet to recording Dragon Ball a Dragon Ball Z podcast in general. We have the Cyber Dragon Ball. It's never gone past the initial intro episode, and that's because he had a bunch of health issues right after we launched it, and so we just kind of decided mutually that it wasn't going to happen for a while. So I don't know if you guys follow DC Comics. I honestly haven't followed them in a while because I just don't read comics anymore. But Batman Beyond, they not only have the original Joker back in the comics along with Bruce Wayne and Terry McGinnis, but they also have a new Robin, kind of following in the footsteps of Damian Wayne, watching those kind of videos. And they allude to the fact that it's more or less, it's basically Terry's brother, which I think is kind of an interesting twist. They have him because Batman can't really do it on his own anymore, and he needs help. So they have him using Damian Wayne's costume, which I think's a nice nod to Damian Wayne and kind of passing the torch of, from father and son to brothers. So that's kind of an interesting way of taking it. Kind of made me want to go back and actually read all of the Batman Beyond comics that since they rebooted with Terry McGinnis again, and I kind of want to see what they've done with it, just because it's new. It's not something that we've gotten to see. So as far as like movie superhero films, I wanted to touch on it, but at the same time, there's just so much of like rumor mill and conversation going on around all of it. I don't even know if I want to talk about it. Like, they're saying new Batman rumor says Jake Gyllenhaal may replace Ben Affleck. And then there's, Reeves Batman might do his own thing. And Matt Reeves, I've worked the Batman story out. And Warner Brothers not copying Disney anymore. And it's just, I don't even know. And then you go over to the Marvel side. Chris Hemsworth wants Thor and Wolverine to team up. Avengers 4 may actually be Secret Wars. Sebastian Sands says Hugh Jackman thinking about joining Marvel Cinematic Universe. Black Widow screenwriter meeting with Scarlett Johansson soon. Rumored to be a female hero team-up film. Like, it's just... I can't even take, like, half this news seriously anymore because, honestly, like, a lot of it's just clickbait. It really is. Because there's really nothing... I mean, they're making a mountain out of a molehill around entire conversations of people just saying things. That would be like me saying, I heard that they're going to cast, Matt Damon as the new Riddler in the DCEU, so that he can go against Ben Affleck and work together with him again. And like, the internet takes it by storm, and then it just goes nuts. Like, that would just be the most ridiculous thing in the world. So it's gotten to that point where I have to, like, tune out from the internet news. It really does. Then there's the sequel. It kind of falls into our superhero and like movie fatigue thing that will be coming out, and the previous one that we did on the toxicity of it. It's just there's just a lot of like garbage, and we didn't used to see this much because we used to have to buy magazines to get this information, and now it's just at our fingertips. So it's just kind of like, it's just another thing people are saying, and I find that to be kind of disheartening and kind of sad. So I'm going to go into the listener feedback because honestly, I really don't want to talk about all that much more on the episode, and it's just kind of I've kind of said my piece, and that's kind of it. So I'm gonna go to the feedback at this point. So going to the Facebooks. Yes, I said the Facebooks. On the missed magazines and revivals. Brad says, our family used to get PC and PS1, 2 magazines in the late 90s and 2000s, mainly for the demo discs, which I remember those. Those were fun. I remember going to computer shows and getting demo shareware floppies. It just dates how old I am. And then games back then were $50 to $100, so the demos were a lot cheaper at $15 to $20 for a magazine, and we played the hell out of them. But unless there was a game I was interested in, I rarely read the articles. There's no way I'd buy digital magazines. I want the physical copies in my hand. I get Empire magazine from time to time for the movie posters, or if I like a film they look at. But even then, a while ago, I realized it's all marketing BS, and you barely learn anything more about the film. Which, that's true of everything. I mostly get the magazines that I did read for, kind of for the purpose of the articles, and more so like pictures. It's the same reason why I would buy comic books, is I did it for the visuals. I didn't necessarily do it for everything inside. Or if I skimmed the magazine and saw an article I wanted to read, I would buy it for that. But usually that wasn't the case. So then there's the other aspect of Toon Master Tim says that in relation to the magazines on Altered Power, he says, I think that it's fitting to bring Nintendo Power back as a podcast, taking advantage of the newer tech to reach fans, and he said it's perfect. Of course, now there are a ton of podcasts related to comics, so no need for Wizard as a podcast, really. And the magazine I was into was Wizard. As a comics reader, it helped me keep up with the industry and select stories of interest, which I did do that back in the day. I used to read Wizard on occasion, because it had they would cover like Dragon Ball Z or something to that degree, and so I was able to stay kind of tuned in without really having to be and so it's a lot of fun when you get to go back and reminisce and look at stuff like that. So what do you guys want to talk about in the next episode? We've kind of set our piece on a few things. We've got some more controversial topics coming up. So what do you guys want to talk about? What's geeky to you, as it were, this week? So let me know. Hit me up on the hashtag What's Geeky to You on Twitter. You can hit up the podcast at Altered Geek or myself at SCP-21. So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.